Hello everybody, welcome to another True Review. Today I'm bringing you Skylar and Plux Adventure on Clover Island on the Xbox One. It releases on the 19th of May and is going to be priced at $14.99 in EU and US regions, and that would probably translate to about just over £10 in the UK, as I don't actually have a firm UK price at the moment. So what we have here is a classic 3D platforming adventure, much like your games like Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, things such as that. And it's got the classic buddy co-op system where you have the main character who you control, who's silent. They're called Skylar. They're a cat who's been captured by the evil CRT, who's the villain of the piece, who is literally just a giant monitor with evil face and hands. His sidekick, who he quickly gets introduced to after you escape the very small starting area, is Plux, as a bird who's been stranded on the planet where Clover Island is for quite some time, waiting for his parents to return to them. It's a bird who strangely wears an aviator's hat or helmet. I'm not sure what you actually call it. It's like the leather thing with the goggles on. Plux offers the game's voice because Skylar is mute throughout the entire game. Plux offers comedy relief, directs you in with what you've got to do in certain areas, like may highlight you that you've got to move things around, move puzzles, move blocks around to solve puzzles, and basically is your guide through the actual game itself. So the first area, you quickly get to learn the ropes, you get to learn your moves. You've got your classic double jump, twirl attack, you've got a stomp where you jump and then stomp to the ground to actually kill the enemies. All pretty general stuff really, you know what you come to expect from this kind of platforming adventure. So you traverse the first few platforms and you get to what is the hub area, where you'll meet the lower elder, who is the elder of the native tribe who live on Clover Island, and they quickly tell you that the 3 fuses from the siphon, which helps protect and power the island, have been stolen and captured by CRT, and they task Skylar and Plux with retrieving them. Also along the way you have got 52 lower natives to rescue who were captured in giant cages, which required 100 crystals apiece to unlock. Luckily these crystals are in every single breakable container and are not too hard to amass to actually unlock them. The main task of it comes in actually finding the cages in the first place, most of which are either on the main path or you can see from the main path, but quite a few of them are hidden away in little nooks and crannies which you've got to find. By the time I'd reached the final level of the game, I had all but 10 of them just initially playing through it without looking too hard, and a quick 1 or 2 playthroughs of each of the areas again. It wasn't too difficult to discover them basically, so the collectibles are not too bad to actually get, and they do fit and work nicely with the concept of the actual game itself. But what actually stops you from clearing the game then, when you've got the CRT's minions? He doesn't have an awful lot of minions, to be honest with you. He's got like little CRT bots, which are the most annoying and frequent enemy that you get. There's also like rocket turrets, and there's also gun turrets as well, which fire like a Gatling gun kind of attack. None of these enemies are too problematic, and once you get an ability in the second level, combat becomes pretty much meaningless because it's a power which slows down time, and you can quickly activate it and dispatch foes who can't actually react to you at all. So while combat's a little bit annoying and frustrating on the first level, where your health's lowest and you're a bit underpowered, by the time the second level, like I say, it's a trivial battle, which is a good job really, because to be honest with you, the combat is the weakest area of the game. It's just not that good and accurate to use the abilities that the game gives you. Turning to the levels themselves, there's 3 main levels to the game if you exclude the hub, which does have 9 collectibles in there, but it's not a vast area. You've got the classic greenery area, which is kind of like a forest, hilly kind of area, which finally ends on an ascent of a snowy mountain top. So you actually go through the environments and you see them develop from greenery into winter, and it's rather nice how it does that. Second level is a desert environment where you learn the ability to time manipulate, where you can freeze enemies, and you can also activate statues which will transform the level to a point in the past where there may have been platforms that you could actually jump across. So that's quite an interesting mechanic. I think I've probably seen that in games before, but it works rather well here. And thirdly, you've got kind of like the industrial zone where CRT's got his most influence. In that level you obtain a magnetic claw which allows you to traverse larger gaps and cling onto various magnets which are moving along the area with it being industrial. Now what I most like about the game is its scope, its vision, because the game maps are quite big, and they're quite vertical as well, which is very, very rare. I mean, I'm talking hugely vertical here. I mean, the first main level, for example, you're climbing up a mountain by the ends of it, and when you're actually atop the mountain, you can actually see quite far into the distance actual platforms and things, and they're actually platforms you've actually traversed and got to. And I like it when a game does that, because it kind of adds more scope and more feel to the world, that it's real, that's when you're out of sight of something, that thing still exists, if you get what I mean. And I really do like that with it. The only problem that comes with that is the level design itself needs to be a little bit tighter. Whilst the main path is fantastic and challenging, there's a lot of areas in this game from start to finish where you can go off the beaten track and get to areas where the game clearly doesn't intend you to get. This is one of the main bugbears of it. It's kind of a lack of polish from the game developer. Now these guys, it's their debut game. I think it's a Swedish company called Right Nice Games, and if this is anything to go by, these guys are definitely a indie studio to actually watch here, because other than a few bits of polish to tighten this game up, this game's actually rather fun and really interesting to play. It's one of these games where it doesn't really do anything spectacular, but it doesn't really do anything wrong that's really detrimental to the game as well. The one thing it probably is missing is bosses. There's no bosses at the end of every level, and from the end game boss, that's a bit of a shame, because the end game boss is actually pretty decent. It's quite a fun boss to encounter, and it wouldn't have been nice to have more bosses that are themed around these free worlds that they've created. Would have been nice to have a few more worlds thrown in there as well, because the game does clock in at about 7 hours or so with all the collectibles and all the achievements obtained. But nevertheless, I really enjoyed this game. But it's one of these games where, as I said a few moments ago, there's nothing actually spectacularly wrong with it, but it just doesn't get into that higher gear which lifts it above the rest. But for a 3D platformer, you can't really go much further wrong with this. Put it this way, I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed Yooka-Laylee, which was all bells and whistles and the hype machine went into full swing. I would say if you're going to buy one game over the other, this is definitely buy this more than Yooka-Laylee any day of the week. I enjoyed this an awful lot more than that game. And like I say, Right Nice Games are definitely one I've got on my to watch list, because I eagerly look forward to what their next title brings. I mean, I've not really even mentioned the graphics, but you can see from the screen there that the graphics are pretty decent. They're nice, vibrant, colourful, which is something we don't get to see an awful lot of in the last few generations of gaming. The music fits the zones rather well. It changes and heightens at certain points as well when you encounter new things. The voice acting's a little bit weird. Some of the voices don't seem to fit the characters. I'll quickly put on screen now at the moment.
Your compassion
the
truly
Elder.
knows no bounds. We will forever adore you, Skylar, the liberator.
If you have a look at the Elder on the screen at the moment and listen to the voice, it doesn't seem to match the character really. I would have thought a different voice was going to come out of that character's mouth than the one that we actually get there. Well, these are all minor little niggly things, little presentation things, but the game plays really well and is very fun to play from start to finish. It's a rather easy 1000 gamer score as well for anybody who's into the achievements. Like I say, 6-7 hour completion there. So I'm going to give Skylar and Plux a 3, but if I know I don't do incrementals of points, but it's a high 3 if anything. If it just had that bit of more polish, a bit tighter level design to stop you going off the beaten path and getting stuck in areas that you shouldn't clearly be able to get to, then this would have got a 4 without a doubt. It is really that good, and a fantastic debut from this company, and I recommend that you buy this straight away. It's really fun 3D platform and adventure game. You can't really ask much more than that. So I hope you enjoyed that review, guys. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next review.